I want to give you some practical tips for stretching and really making your passive, regular, maybe day-to-day stretching more effective and just more something that actually produces results and helps you alleviate tiredness a lot. Because the thing is, the passive stretching has, for example, some circles, it has gotten a bit of a bad reputation because, for example, it's not like active mobility. You're not really, for example, working your muscles and maybe necessarily creating so long-lasting results with it. But I think passive stretching and stretching in general, it has great possibilities to really also open up your body, create a much more relaxing mood, improve your blood flow. I think the passive, even as a term, is maybe not the most accurate, because if you are conscious in what you're doing and you're paying attention to what's happening inside your body, I wouldn't even call that passive stretching, not necessarily. But the problem with this passive stretching is that what many people are doing, what they maybe learned in some like their high school sports class or elementary school sports class, and they're like, okay, stretch my hamstrings, and then they're like this way, stretching their hamstrings, and okay, now I'm stretching my quadriceps, and just by themselves these stretches are fine. But people get locked into this like a very simple form of like a stretch that is given to them that is kind of like we're imitating a position of a stretch. You just go into the stretch and you might even force yourself to it, and you're not paying attention to what really happened in your body. So what I want you to bring to is actually really paying attention to your body while you're doing these stretches and really feeling and listening the more subtle messages of the stretch that is happening in your body. And to make this all more clear, I'm going to take the example of stretching the glutes. So glute stretching usually involves putting the leg in an external rotation. So when we're stretching the gluteus part here, we have so many different varieties that we can do from here. This is very common way. This is quite a classic way that I used to do like also many years ago. You can also, many like physiotherapists or something recommend also to do like this way. So I'm pulling the leg that is behind here, and again I'm feeling the stretch in the glute part. Then we have stretches that are more familiar from yoga. For example, we have the pigeon pose here, like this way. Sometimes I think the leg is also in different positions. And then, what we can also see sometimes nowadays is this like 99 position. And from this 90 degree position, you will then start to lean and stretch your glutes. So usually I think people often maybe pick one of these actually stretches, or maybe two, maximum like two. And then they try to just be on that stretch for as long as possible. So the way I, for example, approach glute stretching is I might go, for example, in a position where I'm here. So if the rule here is, so to say, the rule is that your legs just need to be in this externally rotated position, I can go to almost any position where my leg is externally rotated, and then I can see if I can feel a stretch. So now I'm in this position, and if I a little bit like push my hip towards the ground, I already feel a slight stretch. I can intensify it by just leaning more or turning, for example, this foot here. So I'm already feeling a stretch, and I can just go to a position where I'm feeling the lightest amount of stretch, like a very slight amount, and just stay there. There's no rule, there's no specific rule, there's no exact position. I go to the position here where I feel a stimulus that I feel is actually giving me a stretch. So a position that is different from my norm, that is already enough to actually cause a stretching sensation. You don't need to look for anything else. And from this position, if I start to feel, oh, now it's disappearing maybe, so I can go maybe deeper, try to go deeper to it, but I can also start to, for example, drop my knee towards the ground here. So I can go to this position. But I'm still more, my torso is like, for example, on top of the foot. So I can stay here for a while. Then I can, for example, go further here. Instead of, because this is, for example, very intense position, usually stretch-wise, this pigeon position. So instead of going straight into that, I can be here in the position where I'm really comfortable, I can spend a lot of time in there, then I can very gradually, I don't have even a goal of going there, but naturally at some point when I follow that sensation of stretch, I will usually start to go more down. Down, maybe I go here, into this position. Maybe after that, I might move this, go here. And I feel again, I can feel the glute. So from there, if I want to, again, I can switch and go into, for example, here, into this kind of positions. But the point here is, what I'm doing is, I have not decided beforehand, I'm gonna do just this one stretch here, I'm gonna be here, even though it's maybe not even the most comfortable position. Maybe it's sometimes, like I said, you may be doing the pigeon pose, maybe that's too much for you, and you feel like, I can't do that. So you have, fundamentally, you have the ultimate freedom of choosing any position where your leg is in this externally rotated articulation. So externally rotated, am I going to keep it here, or here, or here, or even here, for example. Even this stretches my glute greatly. So there's enormous amount of possibilities. And while I'm stretching, I'm just only trying to find the location where I'm actually feeling the best amount of sensation that allows me to really be in that position for a while, maybe a minute, maybe two, can be sometimes even less, 20-second sets. But I'm switching up the position intuitively. I'm following the stretch. I'm following always where is the position where I'm getting the most like bang for my buck, where I'm getting the best sensation. Because stretching, what it used to be for me, it was an agony. It was like something where I was almost like hurting myself or torturing myself in many cases. I was just trying to follow a strict path of stretching. Whereas in reality, stretching, like nowadays, if I do it, it's almost always, it's a great relief, because I changed my methodology, I changed my attitude towards stretching, and I changed the way I did stretching from forcing myself into a position into actually listening to my body when I'm doing it. There is no other rule than in the proper stretch than for you to feel the stretch. You need to feel the stretch, of course, but the feeling of the stimulus of the stretch does not have to be necessarily agony. There are more intense training methods that utilize contraction, PNF stretching, for example, and that combine, actually mobility, strength work, and stretching. But if we are just left on this so-called passive stretching, in the realm of passive stretching, there's still a ton of different options for you to make it more effective, much more effective. So I recommend next time for example, you can be stretching any part, but the glute, I think this is a great example for now to give to you. For example, just go into any kind of position where your leg is in externally rotated. I can also be like this way, so my knee is very far to the out and I'm feeling the stretch here already. Like any kind of position where my leg is this way externally rotated. Explore that position, stay in those positions for a period of time until the sensation starts to decrease. And instead of maybe trying to always like yank yourself deeper into the position, switch up the position a little bit. So that is just a tip on how you can become a little bit more intuitive with your stretching, but also on how you can make stretching really enjoyable. And one of the keys in making stretching effective is that you don't just do it one time, even not just like one time a week, but you do it maybe even almost every single day. And the way, in order to do stretching every single day, it should be fairly comfortable and not something, like I said, there's time and place for very intense stretching that will cause you soreness and all that. But you can also do stretching every single day. But in order to do that, it should be enjoyable. It should be quite comfortable and something that actually not only relaxes even your body, but the tension that you dissolve with your stretching, you will notice it even in your mind. And that sort of relaxation, it requires that you start to pay attention to the stimulus that come from your body in a more sensitive manner, in a more subtle manner, and you really respect your body in that regards and follow with the messages that it gives to you. So I hope that helps you. in gaining or creating a better relationship to the stretching training, but also through that practice creating a better relationship to your body, and it helps you to feel good.